Hi there, and welcome back to Chat EbT. I'm your host, Mohamed Ebrahim Tayob. Once again, we've got another phenomenal guest for you guys. So let's jump right in with today's episode, Dessert for Starters. With me today, I have Riyaad from La Cremerie. Riyaad, thanks for being here, man. Alhamdulillah, great to see you, man. So as we start, please give us a little bit of a background about yourself.
Okay, so I matriculated in 2010. So I was in university in the year 2014, 2015. I was doing my honors year in BCom Informatics at Tux.
Okay.
And I was already in business. I used to work for my dad. And then I also had my own FMC business on the side. We used to distribute the Dubai Pepsis and that type of thing in Gauteng. That was my own business. And I was looking for an opportunity, and I think being in university, I found the degree important to me, but I never found the corporate sphere, along my strengths, I would say. I never like to follow rules. I always wanted to do my own things at my own timings. So I go and I Google what's the biggest traded commodities. I thought, okay, maybe we must look at something like coal or something different. And then I see the second biggest traded commodity at the time was coffee.
Oh, wow.
So I said, hey, this looks interesting. And then I started taking note and doing market research on coffee shops. At the time, Seattle was the incumbent. They were really popular, but there was nothing different. There was no innovation. It was just a cappuccino. There was nothing exciting. And then along the line, because, working with my dad, I had the opportunity to travel a lot. And then if you go to places like the Gulf regions or you go to some of the Asian countries, there's very unique types of coffee offering and dessert lounges. So I said, okay, let me try this and go into a dessert lounge. And we opened in Menlo Park Shopping Center, and that's when La Cremerie was named.
Okay.
We tried that and we started going.
Lovely, man. So this you mentioned it was.
In fact, actually, there's a backstory before La Cremerie launched. Then.
Okay.
So part of the journey, we wanted to do a brand in, I think it was it was a Malaysian brand, or it was UAE. I can't remember exactly. Paparotti.
Oh yeah, I know it very well. Yeah.
This was the early days. Paparotti just launched, I think, in Mall of Emirates. Dubai Mall wasn't even around at the time. So we said, okay, let's try bringing this bun. And then when we sat and we looked at the numbers, a lot of the foreign guys, international guys, look at SA from a very high level. So we said, okay, this is not going to work. Then I went in, I looked at another brand called Millions of Milkshakes. Same issue. They wanted us to open a certain amount of stores over a period of time, and then pricing structure relative to our spend in SA at the time wasn't going to work. And then we went into another Berkshire Hathaway Dairy Queen. And these guys wanted us to open like 40 stores in a period of 3 years. And that too, wasn't working. So then my grandfather and the founder of Ocean Basket, George Lazaridis, and Fats are very close. So I went to sit to Uncle George, and then he started advising me where to look, what to look. I went to go see some food scientists, and I started developing my own brand, La Cremerie. And slowly over time, eventually we launched December 2015. Very small store, kiosk store. I think it's about 30 square meters at the Menlo Park Shopping Center. And not knowing anything about the industry, did my research, did my homework, but experience is the best teacher. I jumped in and we launched.
100%. You touched a little bit on it earlier, bringing different brands down, right? So I think a lot of people sort of look at that as, it's tried and tested, so obviously it's going to do well, as opposed to me starting my own thing, right? But, you see a lot of franchises come from overseas that, some of them are great successes, but some of them obviously don't really work out due to, you mentioned you need to open a certain amount of stores in that. What would you say to that viewer that's sort of looking at, okay, do I go the franchise route, or do I go opening up something that's maybe similar to a franchise, but then being able to have that creative control, being able to, run with it in whichever direction I want to?
So I think in terms of the restaurant industry of developing your own brand, it can become much more expensive than taking a franchise, right? Especially if you're looking at it from one store perspective at a time. And then also on the franchise side, I would say go to local instead of an overseas, and then see what you can do from there. Because also market demographic. If you're looking at the UAE, you got such a big population. They were here, we only have a population of 5 million Muslims. From the 5 million Muslims, you're only getting 10 to 15%. That's going to take on. So also product knowledge. Like for example, we're going to do papa roti. With the 5 million Muslim, not even the 5 million Muslim population, probably 500,000 Muslim population, they would understand. They will understand what papa roti is. The rest don't. Now you have to develop it further, market it further, educate people on it. So I would say rather stick. As South Africans, I think especially now as fourth or fifth generation, we're very fussy eaters and we very particular, like across the board on the types of food we eat. So to bring in something completely new that's not aligned to our palates, it's very difficult to. And then also in terms of the creativity part, now it's over time. You gain your mastery. Now I'm 10 years in the industry, so. From the beginning, I used to develop with the food scientists or chefs my own menu. Now over time, like I'll be the head of development. So it's just a sense of creativity. It's an art. It's not like, okay, I'm just getting a chef, I'm doing this. You have to do something spectacular. You have to do something completely out of the box.
Yeah, 100%. So you mentioned obviously at the beginning you opened up your dessert bar because obviously coffee was the driving factor behind that. At what point did you say, okay, now we're ready? Let's open up a restaurant. Let's take this brand further. So number one, what made you get to that decision? And number two, what did you think was the right time, or why did you think it was the right time to do that?
Okay, so I don't think anybody knows this, but I've in the initial days at Menlyn, the first 6 months were great, like any other establishment. Afterwards, we had a bad downturn, right? And that too also the mall started a revamp, so everything was a mess. There was no escalators coming to us. Our location was wrong. Our overhead was extremely high, and I overlooked it. For a 28 square meter, it was ridiculous. And basically, I needed to get out of that lease. So we got out of Menlyn Park Shopping Center, and we were closed, I think, for 3 or 4 months. I was thinking of throwing in the towel. And my dad actually says, you know what, this is what you need to do. You need to go into Elder Square Shopping Center, Elder Square Shopping Center. And I said, no, but I don't want to relaunch this. I'm tired. He says, no, you need to innovate. You need to bring in this, bring in that, learn it. And I felt I wasn't working hard enough as well in the Menlyn days. I never realized, okay, I have to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I must leave at 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I wasn't putting in those hours. And I went on to relaunch at Menlyn Park Shopping Center and Elder Square. And then, from there, we franchised out in Durban, which was a huge success. And then, alhamdulillah, from there, it was just up. But a lot of work. They say when you face adversity, never to quit. And I think if it wasn't for my dad, alhamdulillah, I kept pursuing, and adversity teaches you things. You understand? If I never have the Menlyn store closed down, or I had to leave that store, I wouldn't have known. Okay, this is the hours I needed to put in. I can't be at 11 o'clock and leaving at 5. I need to be there. So it taught me the importance of hard work and what the industry basically demands of you. It's Sunday to Sunday. And especially those early days, I'll never forget it. It's open to close, dealing with all sorts of customers. Then you're still doing stock, yourself. You're doing ordering, you're doing marketing, you're doing everything. And then I'm like, oh, gosh, they tell you it's hard, but they don't tell you how hard it is until you're swimming yourself. And alhamdulillah, Allah has been merciful with us.
I like the way, like you said, your dad said, you got to innovate. I saw a very very nice quote on a podcast the other day, and they said stagnation is equal to regression. So you might think that, hey, I'm still doing the same thing. You actually, by not innovating and moving forward, you're actually moving backwards, right? And I think that's sort of very evident there, where you could have said, okay, you know what, let me open up another dessert bar, and then okay, no, let's innovate, let's try something different, let's go pizza, let's go X, let's go Y. And I think it's very important to have that sort of mindset to continue seeing as what's next, No, 100%. So as we're talking about what's next, in our conversations leading up to this interview, you mentioned obviously you guys are going into a bit of a newer venture with a Kawali store. Can you give us a little bit of insight on that?
Okay, so as you just said, now you have to keep innovating, right? And stagnation is regression almost. You're going back. So when I'm saying, okay, we're at a certain point now with the creamery, but I felt there was a need for Indian food, but proper Indian fusion food, not your traditional Indian, not your traditional one. And as I said, now we're fourth or fifth generation Indians.
Yeah.
We need something different, not something foreign inspired, but with our flavors, with a modern twist, So I went on this journey. I said, okay, let's do it Cavalli House. So, Cavalli is deep, and so I feel food is deep. It's got deep meaning to it. As I was telling you earlier, it's become an art. So it's actually since 2020, the idea has been there, and then we started developing for now about 2 years.
Okay.
So up to then last year, when we went now for menu development, I said, let's go to India. We've contacted some chefs there, but different, India got different regions. Every region got its own flavor. So let's go learn the flavors. Let's see what each region has to offer, and let's bring it in. So, it's no more about just business. It's about art. You understand? How can we inspire others? Like you coming out with your family, and especially as Muslims, you want an outing. You want to escape reality. You want to enjoy your meal, not just only the food. The food must be outstanding, but there must be a bit of theater, a different feel. So also in terms of designs, we've worked with 3 different designers, one based in UK, one in UAE, and then one celebrity designer here, Trivand Woodley is excellent. And then we brought now the Cavalli element, but right to the Cavalli element, we've rehearsed it. So Cavalli can be loud, can be very loud. So we've rehearsed it for a restaurant setting as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay.
And then expect 360 waterfalls around the whole store. So something people haven't seen or anywhere in the world, you can say. And I think this is just like a tribute for 10 years now in the industry. I've learned my craft quite well. I wouldn't say mastery because every day we learn something new.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a one-of-a-kind experience.
Oh, that's lovely. I really like this aspect that you mentioned, and I think you touched on it a little bit earlier, right? Where you said, obviously, when you were getting into the industry, you're working with food scientists and developing a menu. Now you're mentioning you guys went to India and worked, with people over there and the different areas and the different genres and everything like that. It reminds me of. I was a big follower of Gordon Ramsay. I really liked his, TV shows and everything. And one of the TV shows that he came out with was something around traveling. And the reason he went to India for the sole reason of creating an Indian cookbook. Now, he was one of the best chefs in the world, notorious all around the world. Michelin stars, like I think he got over 3 or something like that. And here's the guy saying, okay, I'm out of my depth here. I'm going to go to this place and speak to local people and figure out the different recipes and how the flavors work. That's a guy who could have easily just sat on his haunches and said, well, okay, yeah, I'm going to make my version of a biryani or butter chicken, and I'm Gordon Ramsay, so it's going to be great and people are going to love it. But he sort of did that work, How much do you feel like that part has contributed to the success that you've had in the restaurants?
Most of my success, like for example, our gelatos and some of our pizzas, and especially for Camino, we went to Italy. So we went to go train in Italy for the gelato. And if you go see our gelatos now, we've got very different style gelatos from everywhere else. Our processes are different, and then we also come in and tweak our own ways, different from what the Italians that work for our market. So it does play a very important role in innovation, and then just bringing your own art to the table, And I think the best feeling is when you've created your work of art and people appreciating and enjoying it more than anything. It's like we don't even have to charge customers. That's how I feel. But just the fact that they enjoy that, that's what makes it for us. That's what drives us.
I can imagine, yeah.
And we give it our utmost best. Look, there will be mistakes. We work with humans. Unfortunately, kind of the industry, but every time, even if there's a bad experience, we try making it good. And that's what it's here. It's just about passion, giving people a good time. Remember, restaurants, it's people and food, So yeah, it's about making everybody, whether you're in there ordering an espresso or just a glass of water and chilling and enjoying yourself, or you're ordering whatever you like. But as long as you've had a good time, a good feel, that's what we're there for.
100%.
And I think for personal growth as well, you've got a sense of purpose. It keeps you complete as a person because you've got this goal, or you've got your short-term, long-term goal in you. going with this. And look, we plan, although Allah is the best of planners, but as long as you got that vision, that sense of purpose, you'll keep innovating, you'll keep doing something. But now, like I'll launch something now, we're on the top, everyone is talking about us, we're going viral. You take a back seat, and I'm like, oh no, like a back seat, and say, all right, it's done. I don't need to do anything else. You're gonna go
to the next one.
Exactly. You need to keep doing, new things all the time. You want to be on the top all the time.
You touched on this when you were talking about opening up your first restaurant, and now you mentioned it again in the sense of getting that information and talking to all the various different people. You mentioned your uncle and the owner of Ocean Basket, or the founder of Ocean Basket. If you had to speak to young entrepreneurs that are going into any venture, how much of importance would you put onto that aspect?
Okay, so look, mentorship is very important. I think everybody should, you're not only one mentor, maybe you should have 5 or 6 different mentors depending on different aspects of your life. So, this is a person I want to be like in terms of my personality or social aspect. This is my mentor. You take it, life advice from that person. In terms of my business aspects, or you like the way this guy handles his financial systems, or the way he handles his controls in the business, then you go and take, this person here must be your mentor in terms of maybe your controls, maybe in terms of like new menu development. I got mentored. I got some sitting overseas, some local. So now I consulted them. Go to your mentors and learn. Always say be teachable from anybody. I don't think also if you go, you read something on Google, or you go read a whole book, whatever it is, you can still learn something new every day.
Yeah.
So it's important to go out, ask questions, learn. And before starting up anything, yes, it's exciting to do your own venture, etc. I meet a lot of youngsters that come to me for advice. I want to do this, I want to do that. But they're not seeing how they're making money. You ask them, where's your financial plan? How are you going to make money off it? Oh, like this or like that. Okay, example, how many units do you have to sell? I don't know. What's your cost price? What's your break even? They don't know. So they don't have, then they'll come with a financial plan, but then you'll just have sales, cost of sales done. Okay, but now you got other overheads. You got your rental, you got employee, how many employees you're going to need, how you're going to train those employees. Have a plan. Have a plan, see if you're going to break even, right? Most of the time you don't go to plan, but have something there to say, okay, is this feasible or not feasible, and then go into it. I hear also a lot of young entrepreneurs coming, okay, I don't have finance, I don't have this. There is money available. There's a lot of investors available, but all of them want to see financial plans. And they want to see, okay, is this guy a businessman? Because an idea, that's a dreamer. You understand that that's a visionary, but you also need to have that business side to understand, okay, is this thing going to make money? Is it possible? Like I was explaining you demographics earlier, right? For the paparotti thing. It sounded like a great idea to myself, or maybe to you, but maybe to somebody else. I go, what's that? How is that going to make money? You understand what I'm saying? Research it properly. See if there's anything available, similar in the market. See how they're doing. Like what's your target market? Okay, you got a demographic or target market, but is your demographic or the target market enough to sustain your overhead? So go into it as deep as possible, and then you execute. But don't also overthink it.
Yeah, I think that's a big issue.
Remember, the planning is part of the process, and then from there you make a decision. But don't overthink it. You have to have that appetite for it. That's the fun, And it's not as like you'll see. I see a lot of these videos. It actually upsets me. I see on Instagram these entrepreneurs driving around with Lamborghinis and cigars and private jets and all these crazy things, especially in foreign countries. Or that's not entrepreneurship. If you're starting from scratch, it's blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
As I told you in the early days, I made that mistake. I thought, okay, that's entrepreneurship. From there, I learned the hard way. I had my school fees, and then I seen, okay, 8 o'clock to 11, 12 o'clock at night, sacrificing family time, sacrificing friends. Where all my friends were chilling out on the weekend. I had to be at work.
100%.
So anything you're going to do, there is going to be some element of sacrifice. And then another thing, and a lot of people pull back on it, is adversity. I feel adversity is your best teacher. So any type of struggle you're going through, and that's going to be life. If it's not financial, it's going to be social. If it's not social, it's health, Allah forbid. But that's life. We have to, as Muslims, we are for a test. So it's how you handle adversity.
So these next round of, these next few questions, we asked to all our guests, and just gauge the different responses we get. Now, I think this first one is very interesting to you because you've been in this industry for 10 years, right? We say one of the most common questions in job interviews is, where do you see yourself in 10 years? So now we're going to take that, we're going to reverse it a bit, right? We're going to go to Riyaad 10 years ago. And if I had to ask you that question 10 years ago, where do you see yourself in 10 years? What was that answer? And how do you feel about where you are today versus to what that answer might have been?
Being a restaurateur with many stores, and being a restaurateur with many stores. 10 years later, we accept many stores, but you learn, as your journey goes, you learn. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. You understand? So, alhamdulillah, I'm happy where I am. The kid 10 years ago would have been proud of the man now. So alhamdulillah.
Oh, shukar. If I had to say, what is your message that you would like people to take away from this interview? And who in particular would you like to take that message away?
To the youth, there's plenty of opportunities out there, especially if you get up and you learn and you look for advice or you look for ideas. This is the right time now. You get those small gaps where you can do very well, you can do something very innovative. Now is the time. So if I were you guys, I would be looking at the tech sector, I would be looking at the FMC, manufacturing sector. I would be looking at anything in AI. There's a lot happening there, and there's a lot of innovation that's going to be coming with that. So this is the right time now. You must know the elder generation between 40 and 60, they got a digital divide. They don't want to be touching AI and these type of things. My gen, the 30 to 40, we're the guys that need to drive it forward. But youngsters 16 to 30, you guys need to be coming up with innovation because you're also in a different era. So spot the opportunities, do a proper plan, and go for it. The main thing about the most important mindset, I think, for any entrepreneur is believe in yourself. So if you've got a plan, you've visualized it, you managed to put it in, do a proper financial plan or financial forecast, and you're feeling it, go for it. Yeah, you'll go through adversity, etc., but nothing is easy. And if you've got that vision and that fire to work, you'll go very far.
We spoke a little bit about, obviously, your next venture into the Kawali. But apart from that, what's next? What's next for Riyaad? What's next for your various ventures?
So we've got a point of sale system coming up, AI point of sale, inshallah, coming up. We've got another 2 new Cafe Camino stores, inshallah, coming up. Again, very innovative in terms of design and deco, and that will launch along with some new menus as well. And for now, that's all on the plate, inshallah.
Oh, great, man. Yeah, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. I think it was really a lovely interview because we got to see, the very intricate parts of business that, many people don't know. And I love that the viewers now have that opportunity to see this side of entrepreneurship, and hoping that they'll, take away some great points. But, thanks so much for being with us. I'm going to apologize in advance because I know I'm going to be troubling you many more times to be on the show. So, no, I really appreciate you joining us. And inshallah, may everything work out with your new ventures, and may you guys just strive from success to success.
Thank you so much.
Right, that's our show. So once again, thank you so much for joining us right here on Chat EbT. Episode today was phenomenal, where we dove, as I mentioned, we dove right into the different aspects of entrepreneurship, ways to bring it about, but also the sacrifices, the difficulty, and everything else that's involved. We really hope you enjoyed the show. Join us again next time right here on Chat EbT.